Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. It is important in this world that we keep our focus. Why are we here? What is the purpose of this existence? What is truth? What is falsehood? We need to understand the fullness of God's love. Our hearts must be open to that love of God. We must be sincere in our love for Allah. He will show us the right path towards His grace. But we also have to realize at the same time that there are divergent paths in the world. There's good and bad. There's truth and falsehood. There's the power of God and the power of illusion. There's darkness and light. And there's heaven and hell. We have to have faith, certitude, and determination in the existence of God, in our faith of God, and that God is one and that God alone rules. It's very difficult for man to be able to tell the difference between right and wrong. It's very difficult for man to be able to tell the difference between truth and falsehood. Without wisdom, illusion looks like truth. Without wisdom, falsehood looks like truth. There are so many things that appear to be truth that in fact are not truth. And it's only with discriminative wisdom that we can tell the difference. So what happens? We become enamored through mind and desire with certain aspects of illusion. The mind cannot transcend illusion. The mind cannot transcend the worldly things. The mind becomes enamored with the worldly things, and when this happens, the mind enters into a torpor, like with drugs or alcohol, and we begin to think that the things that the mind tells us are true. People become enamored with politics. People become enamored with religion. People become enamored with wealth. People become enamored with fame. And they begin to think that solving these problems is possible through wealth, through fame, through religion, through all of these kinds of things. In essence, what man tries to do is to manipulate form so that form meets his criteria of what is acceptable. Now, there's no question that this world is in a difficult situation. Many parts of the world right now are inflamed. Many parts of the world are in great difficulty. But we, through our wisdom, should understand that when man does not rule with an open heart of love, when man does not rule with the qualities of God, his rule is like fire. His rule is destructive. His rule causes chaos. Only an open heart and truth can rule in truth. Only an open heart can bring about peace within man and peace within men. Someone without peace cannot bring peace to other people. So if someone is enamored by wealth and they happen to be involved in politics and their point of view is wealth in politics, how can they possibly bring about peace in mankind? They have taken the position that wealth is truth. And if they can accumulate wealth, that is the solution to whatever situation that they're in. If they can accumulate power, that is the solution to whatever situation they're in. They can accumulate fame, that is the solution to whatever situation they're in. The truth is that none of these things are solutions. Religion isn't a solution. No outer form is a solution. There has to be an inner reconciliation. There has to be an inner knowledge. And what is that inner knowledge? Allah, God, resides within each man. He can make a home in the heart of each man. But for man to make a home for God within his heart, he has to build that house within his heart. And how do you build that house for God within your heart? You have to constantly analyze the situation that you're in, the situation that's around you, and you have to constantly analyze your own qualities. Each of us has reels. They are the reels of our life. We have to look at these reels and we have to see how have we acted during our life and how do we continue to act in our life. We have to realize that the past is a foundation for now. The past is a foundation for what happens next. And unless we change our foundation, we are going to continue to act in the same way. Now, we may expect different results. We may expect other things to happen, but as long as we continue to act in the way we used to act, we will get the results that we used to get. Now, one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves is, what are the results that we are looking for? What are the results that we are looking for? Who is it that we wish to become? What is it that we wish to become? And we have to come to the conclusion that what we wish to become is godlike. What we wish to become is divine. Our aspiration should be divine. And what is the path towards this divine aspiration? What is the path towards becoming godlike? What is the path to becoming truth? What is the path to knowing the power of God? And the path is through wisdom, and wisdom bringing into us the actions of divine qualities and understanding the divine qualities. In Sufism, the point is to become the sheikh. Why is the point to become the sheikh? Because the sheikh has bypassed the world. The sheikh no longer has an interest in the world. The sheikh has removed himself from the world and has dedicated himself to the progress and the teaching of the disciples and to bringing the disciples to his state. One of the miracles of the sheikh is that he is capable of transferring unto those who come near him, if they are devoted to him, what it is that he has. So, some simple questions. What are you looking for? Are you looking for peace on earth? Are you looking for peace in a particular country? Are you looking for the end of war? What are you looking for? Well, any positive quality to come forth from you and for you to have influence on, first, you have to become those positive qualities. Otherwise, everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you think is merely conjecture. There is no reality behind it. There is no truth behind it. If you continue to act in the way that you act, and you expect your actions to bring about peace, it's not going to happen. Remember, peace is a name of God. Peace is a quality of God. Peace is a divine attribute. To bring that attribute into the world, we have to become peaceful. If we can obtain that divine attribute of peace, then we can have influence, a peaceful influence, over those close to us. Now, the Quran tells us that a people will have leaders that represent the nature of the people that they are leading. So if you have a country where the people have differences, where minorities have no freedoms, where individuals are prosecuted or persecuted because their belief systems are different than the majority, what do you expect is going to happen through the leadership? There's going to continue to be differences. And the differences are going to expand and expand and expand. So, as opposed to just minority differences, there are now going to be political party differences. And if there's violence against minorities, there's going to be violence between political parties. None of this is going to change until the people themselves change. And when people become peaceful, then the country can become peaceful. When people take on a purposeful, analytical attempt to understand divine qualities and to bring divine qualities into their being, that's when change is going to begin to occur. Now, each of us is a microcosm of the larger picture. We are told that if you save one human, you can save all of humanity. So understand there is also, besides the political hands and the human hands that are involved in everything, there's also God's power that's involved in everything. And God's power can move and shake things in a way that is incomprehensible to man. And if there is one true man among men, God will work on his behalf to help save and alter humanity. In 1991, we went to Mecca, and Bawa, our sheikh, told us that if we did tawaf, the circumambulation of the Kaaba, if 10 of us did it in his name for world peace, it would hold back the destruction. Now, can you believe that a small group of people, 10 people, can hold back the destruction? Can you believe it? And if you can, do you want to become one of those 10? Can you place the burden of saving the world on your shoulders? And by that, I mean, can you change yourself so that the world can be changed through the change that occurs in you? Our job is to change ourselves. Yet we are constantly pointing everywhere else, and we're saying, change this, change that, alter this, alter that, bring that about, elect this political party, and everything will change. Things will only change when you change. And how is it that we change? We must analyze with wisdom the reals of our life and see what we've done right and what we've done wrong. We have to understand the patterns of our existence. We have to understand when and how we do things. And we have to begin to pull out from ourselves all of the inappropriate actions that we do. We have to begin to truly understand the nature of love. And we have to put love inside of our hearts. And we have to act from that point of love. We have to move from that point of love. And if we do that, then we can begin to have some effect on the condition of the world. But there are so many obstacles There are so many things in our way. Illusion, Maya, is like an intoxicant. It's like a drug. And when you pray under the influence of illusion, your prayers are worldly. Your prayers are about the world. Your prayers are not in praise of God. Your prayers are based on the visions of your mind and the desires that your mind has. And your prayers become engulfed in praying to fulfill your desires. And the torpor that you're in, that's induced by illusion, is that this is somehow positive, and this is somehow helpful, and this is somehow going to rectify things. Maya is a lie. Illusion is a lie. But everything that we see with our physical eyes is illusion. So somehow we have to be able to see beyond that. And that happens through wisdom. And wisdom is a power that comes from God's grace. So to be able to see as a wise man sees, we have to have the qualities that a wise man has. We have to take on the characteristics that a wise man has. We have to take on the action that a wise man has. And what is it that a wise man tries to do? He tries to take on the divine attributes of our Creator and to act in the way that our Creator acts, without differences, without separation, without me, mine, and I, without putting ourselves in front of everything, with an equanimity amongst all creations and amongst all life, and the ability to treat everyone equally. And we have to clear a place in ourselves for God to reside. And the way we do that is to clear out our heart. And how do we clear out our heart? We have to be rid of all that is hell. There's a story of a sheikh who was approached by Satan. And Satan was disguised as an Arab. And he began a discussion with the sheikh. And he said, I hear you talking about heaven all the time. Have you ever been to hell? And the sheikh said, no. He said, well, how do you know it's so bad? He said, well, I don't know from personal experience. I just know from what I'm told. He said, well, I have the ability to take you there. So why don't you let me take you there? So he took him. He said, okay, let's take a visit. So he took him there and they went to hell. And in hell, they found dancing girls. They found beautiful food. They found beautiful music. And everything seemed gorgeous. And the sheikh is looking around, and the Arab, who is Satan in disguise, says to him, this is not what you heard, is it? It's quite different than what you heard. And the sheikh said, yeah, it really is quite different. It's quite beautiful here. It's quite amazing here. And then the Arab said, wouldn't you like to stay here for a while? And he said, oh, I don't see any problem with that. He said, well, in order to do that, you have to sign a paper wherein you indicate that you're willing to stay here. And the sheikh says, show me where to sign. And he signed. And as soon as he signed, everything turned into demons and worms and horrible, horrible things. In this world, we see so many advertisements that if we look underneath of them, they are advertisements for hell. There's a quote in Rumi where he says, sugar tastes sweet, but if you keep eating sugar, you end up with diabetes, and diabetes kills you. Diabetes will destroy your organs inside of you. And it's like this in the world. All of the pleasures of the world have an underbelly to them. And that underbelly is that they are not truth. We just think they are pleasurable because of the torpor that we're in, because we have been looking at Maya. We have to understand that the sexual pleasures, the pleasures of fame, the pleasures of wealth, the pleasures of power are all false pleasures. And they are all demonic in their nature. All power belongs to God. And if we are looking to claim power, what are we doing? All wealth belongs to God. And if we are looking to claim wealth, what are we doing? All fame, all praise belongs to God. And if we are looking to claim praise, what are we doing? It all appears wonderful. You have magazines that fill the shelves in praise of people. You have magazines that fill the shelf talking about how famous people are and what famous people do. And people look at this with jealousy and with eyes that say, oh, if I could only do that. Meanwhile, so many of these people that are famous, this fame has taken them to very deep and dangerous places. It's taking them to drug addiction. It's taken them to philandering. It's taking them to sexual obsessions. It's made them think that they are beyond what people are normally susceptible to. It has led them on dangerous paths. We have to understand that what's available to us is not necessarily what we should be grasping onto. We have to understand the difference between what is darkness and what is light. People go into churches and light candles. People go into churches and they believe that in lighting candles, they are doing some kind of ritual positive act. God is light. Can you hold a candle to the sun and does it make any difference? Understand truth, understand real power, and understand where that power is. Allah is the supreme king of all things. And Allah has ordained it in such a way and created you and each of us in such a way that we are part of him. We have within us a ray from him. We have a soul given to us by him. And every man and woman in existence was given this soul. So we should understand that there is a unity amongst all of mankind that's overwhelming. Yet man refuses to accept this unity and creates separations in every way possible at every time possible. And what is the reason for these separations? Because man believes that if he separates himself from other, he somehow stands out and becomes more important. He lords it over people. We must clear God's house within us. And as long as it consists of attachments to the five elements and mind and desire, there will not be any clearing, but we will bring ourselves close to destruction. When we are attached to the darkness, when we are attached to the torpor, when we are attached to mind and desire, there will be destruction. But when there is no darkness, then there is no birth and there is no death. Within light, there is no birth and there is no death and there is no destruction. There is eternity. And everything that's connected elementally has destruction. It's the nature of the elements. Yet, so many men tie their destiny to the elements. And when you tie your destiny to the elements, your destiny will become the same as the elements. So, how does one change his destiny? Instead of attaching your destiny to the elemental outcome of things, attach your destiny to that which is eternal. Attach yourself to mercy, to compassion, to justice, to peace, to love, to kindness, to unity, to an understanding of the oneness of creation. Release yourself from differences. Release yourself from separations. And as these releases occur, we become clear. As these releases occur, we begin to understand truth. And then Allah can work through you and will help change the world. On your behalf, things can begin to occur if you have altered yourself to create a space within your heart for the Creator. The Creator is looking for men who have surrendered to Him. And how is it that we surrender to Him? We surrender to Him by detaching ourselves from the world and attaching ourselves to truth. But as long as we understand truth to be worldly, as long as we understand truth to be material in its nature, as long as we understand that truth is other than light, we will continue to be walking the path of destruction. We will continue to be walking the path of Satan. Satan is trying to get us to give up our eternal life for a few coins of silver. He's trying to get us to give up our eternal life for this short-term material world and what the short-term material world has to offer. None of us are blind. All of us can see. And what is it that we see? We see people disappearing all the time. We see people dying. No one from 500 years ago is here now. Why? Because it's not the nature of this existence. Bawa, our teacher, used to wear a set of beads around his neck. And he said, these beads were not for counting the names or reciting the names of God. These beads were to remind him that he had a noose around his neck. And one day that noose would be tightened and this world would end. This world is a temporary manifestation. This is a part-time gig This is not where we are meant to reside. We are meant to reside in the light of Allah's kingdom. And we have to choose either this kingdom of the world or the kingdom of Allah. And over and over and over, men choose the kingdom of the world, and men choose to try and manipulate the form of this world so that it meets their needs. Only Allah can change things in the appropriate way. And only with Allah's qualities can man be part of that change. So, if we are going to truly affect change, the first change that has to occur is within us. And what is that change within us? That change is to understand that we have to become pure, that we have to give up our attachment to this world and begin to analyze the qualities that we have. And then we have to be able to recognize the qualities that are demonic, the qualities that are satanic, the qualities that lead to destruction, and the qualities that are eternal, the qualities that are truth. And one of the assists that you're given in this understanding is the qualities that will lead to truth don't have form. They're not elemental. Peace is not elemental. Love is not elemental. Mercy is not elemental. Compassion is not elemental. But the strength of these non-elemental qualities is greater than the strength of any elemental qualities that there is. God's kingdom is immense. Hell is a tiny particle within a particle within a particle. But the mind can't transcend hell. The mind can't go beyond the elemental. So the elemental looks huge to the mind. The elemental looks huge to desire because it wants everything it sees and it can't get it and it can't carry it and it can't find enough. Well, first we have to decide whatever we have enough. And what we need is not more of what we have, but what we need is more of God's qualities. And we have to shift our focus towards acquiring that. So let us set forth our intention to begin to understand the nature of God's qualities. And let us spend our life acquiring God's qualities. And as we do that, our life will go on, and there will be no end to it, because we will attach our destiny to that which is eternal, and then we become eternal. May that be the path for each of us. May that be the way each of us goes, and may that be the understanding that comes into our hearts and leads our lives. Ameen, ameen. Ya Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.